Hey folks, welcome back. As you can see, we've got quite a bit to be getting on with today. In particular, a whole bunch of Sofirns. I mean, you've probably noticed that. And the reason for that is Sofirn recently seemed to have released one new light after another, which I'm trying my very best to kind of keep up with. And today is no exception. We've got and they look identical, we've got an SP40a to have a look at. And there's the 40. And they are visually, unless you look closely, identical. There are some key differences, but I'll come back to that just in a second and just linger with the 40, which I think we're all kind of familiar with this kind of design of light, aren't we? And I think this has been Sofirn's kind of workhorse, flagship, kind of multi-purpose headlight, work light, pocket light type of thing. More recently the 20's come out, which is just a pure headlight full stop, with the 40 being, as I mentioned there, that kind of multi-purpose. Now jumping over to the let me turn this light off and jump straight into what the differences are. Put them alongside each other, and crucially with the 40, you can see there we've got a Cree LED popped in there with an orange peel type reflector, and that's a 70 CRI light. And then the 40A, and this is the two main differences. The lens is different. We've got a TIR lens, that stands for Total Internal Reflection Lens. It creates a completely different beam profile, which I will show you later when we get outside. And we've also got a Samsung 351 LED in there as well, instead of the Cree and the 40. And the 351 is a 90 CRI light. And why the CRI is important is that the higher the value, 90 being higher than 70, creates, in some people's opinion, a much more pleasant light. It certainly illuminates things in a much more natural way, and that might be what you want as personal preference. It might also be essential for your employment, such as a mechanic, wiring, that type of thing, that lights up the colours correctly. So jumping back to the light itself, it comes with the usual headband that we can insert the light into. In the box we've got the battery, some spare O-rings, a little pocket clip thing there, that's handy, and the USB standard, not USB-C, USB micro on there. So the head strap we saw there, so you can use this as a headlight, but you can also put this kind of clip on it and use it whichever way you want. There's a little pocket torch, that type of thing, clipping it into your pocket, or you can hand hold it. You've also got as well, and this is pretty handy. So now we can use a 16340 in there if we want. It doesn't come with a 16340, you'd have to order that separately. You can still use the clip as well if you want, and then all of a sudden we've got like a miniaturized version. The 40 does the same, the 40A's retain that capability. Going back, so there we are, back with the longer tube on, and the operation is really simple. One click on, one click off. And the on position, we hold, scroll through our modes. At any point we can double click and go to turbo. If we're in turbo, one click takes us back to where we were, and one click back off. You probably noticed there the tail cap, not the tail cap, the button now, the switchy button. lighting up there. That gives us a battery indication and also a charging status as well. Sorry, I forgot. And a magnetic tail clip. So in addition to the pocket clip, you can stick it on fridges, car bonnets, whatever you want. Let's have a very, very quick look at the manual. There's our specifications: 5 lumens, 90, 450 and 1200 on the turbo, with the run times there, which are very impressive for a single 18650 light. The specifications that we've already gone through, apart from the ATR, advanced temperature regulation. If the light gets too hot, it'll step down. I personally wasn't finding it stepping down at all, to be honest with you. It just ran and ran and ran. So there's nothing really for me to waffle on any further about that. And the rest of the stuff is pretty basic. Let's take it out and have a look. Hey folks, got the SP40a on its lowest mode. Nice and close. As you can see, there's kind of plenty of usable light in the immediate vicinity. Popping up a touch to medium. That's where the TIR lens, I think, starts to demonstrate that very pronounced spot. Looking around. Again, we're on medium. High. The pronounced spot now is getting even more obvious, isn't it? But we still have plenty of useful spill, don't we? Kind of close before that spot comes in. I must say as well, this high CRI, I'm not sure the camera's correctly capturing the tint, but it's very, very pleasant on the eye, and a very pleasant beam profile. And then turbo, we just swap hands. Again, very, very pronounced central spot thanks to that TIR lens. A really, really nice amount of light. And we are getting into the distance there, aren't we? Let me firk about in my pocket and see if I can find Okay folks, I've got this is the standard SP40 now, both on low. I think the TIR lens is really showing its worth there, isn't it? Let's go up another to medium. Again, so we've got the 40 on the left, 40A here. I hope the colour tint is being correctly picked up by the camera. We've got 70 CRI with the 40, 90 CRI with the 40A. Again, both on medium. This is where I need the 3 hands again, isn't it? There is, got the 2 spots lined up there on medium. Let's move them both out of view a little touch. There is a considerable amount, or considerable increased amount of peripheral spill with the standard 40 here on the left. Let's go up to high on both, again alongside each other. But at this kind of distance, they're both doing equally well, or at least I think they are. Let me get that camera right. SP40, 40A. I really do hope the camera's, sorry to mention it again, I really hope the camera's picking up, at least to me, what I think is the biggest significant difference, which is the high CRI, and how much more pleasant on the eye that is. over and above the lower CRI of the 40. More concentrated spot with more flood, more defined. I used the word concentrated spot there, didn't I? Am I using that right? I don't know. Concentrated as it's getting into the distance, perhaps a little bit better. More defined spot, is that the right terminology? I don't know. And then turbo, and the 40A here. There's our 40. .40A. So in conclusion, I'm not sure which you would prefer. You might want that type of beam profile on the A version, and in particular I don't think the camera's showing that high CRI that I mentioned, or the standard. They're both pretty good. I couldn't choose between them. You'll have to decide. Good evening, folks.